So we'll start with our topic of the day, that's phyla Mollusca. Well, we have been studying about so many phyla since last few days. When we start, we have to revise always, okay? We'll go from the beginning once again, just the names, so that we can recollect in our mind what is there. If any one phyla is not clear in your mind, go to that previous topic and revise it. Then you go to the today's topic, okay? Put a pause and go back. So just think about all the phylas in order. Starting from, these are all non-chordates we have learned till now. It starts from Porifera, and as the cell system, or we can say cellular level of body organization, changes to tissue, it becomes Cnidaria. From Cnidaria, it goes to Ctenophora, wherein you find the tissue level organization is continued. Then you have Platyhelminthes, where the organs are being visible, so tissue has been categorized and divided into organs, and you have the organs doing their functions. So little bit of organ system has also come. So incomplete digest system started with Platyhelminthes. Well, we have Aschelminthes, where you have maximum complete systems found. You could see there was a nervous system properly found. You could see the excretory system coming up with the gland cells. Initially it was just one gland, okay, flame cell, but then now the gland cells came in, and you have very important property, that's having three layers, that's ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. So from this phyla, that's Platyhelminthes, all are going to be triploblastic. तो Platyhelminthes से पहले वाले सारे ट्रिप्लोब्लास्टिक थे, बट जैसे ही Platyhelminthes शुरू हुआ सब लोग ट्रिप्लोब्लास्टिक मिलेंगे. So all are going to be triploblastic in nature. And they started showing organ system level, whereas organs are designed to do certain functions. And we have Annelida. Depending upon the body structure, we have categorized. One was roundworm, that's Aschelminthes. There's another which was ringworm called as Annelida. We learned about the doctors. We learned about the soil doctor and the blood doctor. Right? It's clear in your mind. Then we studied about the arthropodas, the most common, or we can say the maximum number of animals, if you count, it would be the maximum on earth would be from arthropoda. And the second largest animal number, if you count and see, it will come out to be the Mollusca. So today's topic will be Mollusca, and Mollusca is considered as the second largest. You have it here, underline it, second largest phylum. So put a heading Mollusca, and along with Mollusca आप लिखो the second largest phylum. अब examples कौन से हैं Mollusca में? So you have these examples: phyla, globusa, octopus, bivalve, sepia, and you remember one, loligo, any one, okay? It's not necessary. Yesterday there was a doubt regarding this also. ज़रूरी है क्या हम कटल फिश की जगह सीपिया लिख दे तो मार्क्स मिलेगा क्या, या अगर सीपिया की जगह कटल फिश लिखेंगे तो मार्क्स मिलेगा? देयर इज़ नो वरीज, ओके, अनटिल अनलेस दे डोंट आस्क यू. और कभी आपके मार्क्स ऐसे स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चंस जब आते हैं तब आपको स्पेसिफिक लिखना पड़ेगा. लाइक वन चाइल्ड आस्क्ड अबाउट लोकोमोटरी ऑर्गन, यू कैन जस्ट राइट मसल्स, नो, you have to write about the particular organ responsible for it. So let's understand what Mollusca is all about. So at least two examples you'll remember, and it is the second largest phylum. Well, before we understand, we have a very important character. Let's have a video.
The sixth phylum is Mollusca. The mollusks are diverse, successful, and the second largest group of animals. Mollusks are advanced than annelids in features such as the presence of a distinct head and foot, well-developed gills for respiration. Mollusca are bilaterally symmetrical, soft-bodied, unsegmented animals. The body is distinguished into a head, foot, visceral mass and a mantle. The mantle secretes a shell, and the space between the mantle and the body wall is known as mantle cavity. Mollusks have gills or ctenidia for respiration, which are located in the mantle cavity. The alimentary canal is well developed and coiled. Most mollusks have a rasping tongue-like radula used for feeding.
I have a video where I will
Distinct head and foot, well-developed gills for respiration. Mollusca are bilaterally symmetrical, soft-bodied, unsegmented animals. The body is distinguished into a head, foot, visceral mass and a mantle. The mantle secretes a shell, and the space between the mantle and the body wall is
यहाँ पे बहुत ध्यान से देखना, ये जो ऑर्गन्स हैं, दिस इंटरनल ऑर्गन, दिस ऑर्गन इज प्रेजेंट इन द मैंटल कैविटी नो. तो इसके बारे में वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न इन द टॉपिक. You can see the position of mouth and anus clearly. Okay, just have a close look.
Mollusks have gills or ctenidia for respiration, which are located in the mantle cavity. The alimentary canal is well developed and coiled. Most mollusks have a rasping tongue-like radula used for feeding.
I will show you a short video regarding radula also. It's rasping organ, a tongue which has got sets of teeth for chewing. Okay, you can actually say chewing only because they have sets of teeth on them. It's visible here, but then I'll show you the real video we've got from Geographic Channel.
Mollusks show a lacunar type of circulatory system in which there is a dorsal heart and a few blood vessels. Excretion is done through one or two pairs of kidneys. Sexes are separate in mollusks, and the fertilization may be internal or external. The nervous system in mollusks comprises of paired cephalic, pleural, pedal, and visceral ganglia. Mollusks also show the presence of sensory organs such as eyes, tentacles, etc. Phylum Mollusca is divided into 6 classes, but
This is not there, so you don't worry.
because of the twisting of the visceral mass in the spiral shape of the shell. The second class, called with well-developed sense organs and nervous system.
Mollusca includes soft-bodied invertebrate animals such as snails, slugs, mussels, clams, oysters, tusk shells, squids, octopods, and nautili, etc. Mollusca is the second largest phylum after Arthropoda. Study of mollusks is called malacology. Study of shells of mollusks is called conchology. General characters. They are mostly marine. However, some freshwater and terrestrial forms are also available. The body of mollusks is unsegmented except monoplacophora with a distinct head, muscular foot and visceral hump. Foot is useful in locomotion. Dorsally visceral mass is covered by a thick sheet of skin called the mantle or pallium. It encloses a space called mantle or pallial cavity between itself and the body. Body is bilaterally symmetrical. In some mollusks, such as Pila, the adults become asymmetrical due to torsion during growth. The body is covered by a shell made up of calcium carbonate and an organic substance called conchin. It is secreted by the shell glands of the mantle. The body cavity is hemocele. True coelom is confined to the kidneys, gonads, and pericardial space. Buccal cavity contains.
Just have a look at the mouth. You can see where mouth is located. This is the anterior end, okay? ये आगे का हिस्सा है. Where is the anus located? At the posterior end. अब ये मैं क्यों बता रही हूँ? I will tell you. Because शुरुआत में they show symmetry, that's called as bilateral symmetry. You can easily cut शुरुआत में, initial stage. But then after a few stages, especially the larval stage, the gastropods, what do? They twist themselves. So this is a very special characteristics. शुरू में they are bilaterally symmetrical, but then after their torsion, this is the word. We are going to study this in the textbook. Torsion is a very special characteristics. ये होता क्यों है पूछे तो उनका जो शेल होता है उसके अंदर they want to be safe, okay? They want to be safe, they want to be protected from their enemies. So here their body coils itself. So for that coiling purpose, the body internally, अभी मैंने इससे पहले जो वीडियो था उसमें मैंने आपको बोला mantle region को ध्यान से देखो. So mouth is at anterior region and anus is at posterior region. So there is a rotation. There is a rotation of around 180 degree of the internal visceral organs. So because of that rotation, जो उसकी symmetry थी, पहले हमने क्या बोला, अगर हम इसे cut करेंगे तो we can easily cut it into two equal parts. That was bilateral symmetry. So the symmetry is lost. So they become asymmetrical later in their life because the internal organs went through torsion. That is, for fitting inside the shell, they undergo torsion, that is 180 degree rotation, causing the symmetry being lost. Okay, symmetry खराब हो जाती है जिसके वजह से they are no more, adults are no more bilaterally symmetrical. पहले जब they are starting their life cycle, they are symmetrical, bilateral symmetry होता है उनका, but later it's not symmetrical. This is the radula which comes out of the body as it sees any prey of its. Okay, so radula is a kind of tongue used for digestion. Okay, we continue with the phylum Mollusca from our textbook. So the second largest phylum, it's Mollusca, and it's free living. Okay, you find them sedentary also. It will fix itself also sometimes as per the need. They are aquatic and seen in marshy places. And when you talk about their body, the word Mollusca itself says soft body. Okay, every organism has a special word for their name, why the name has been given to it. Mollusca, mollusk itself says it is soft body. So this organism we have seen, they are having soft body and their body is plant tube within tube types. So they have mouth, anus, and your body like this. So it's tube within tube body structure. So, and the symmetry we said initially, it's called as bilateral symmetry, but few are asymmetrical due to, you say, torsion. I showed you torsion's explanation. What happens? The mantle region twists, and the result of torsion. I have the result of torsion for you here. अब यहाँ ये डायग्राम देखो आप. पहले torsion से पहले where was the mouth present? Here. And where was the anal region present? Here. But जैसे ही torsion हो जाता है, see, mouth is also at the anterior region, anus is also at the anterior region. So torsion से पहले the structure was very simple, bilateral symmetry. आराम से आप इस organ को divide कर सकते थे into two equal parts, bilateral symmetry. लेकिन just because of torsion, now the visceral organ, जो internal organs है, वो अपने आप में 180 degree twist हो जाते हैं. Thus symmetry is been lost in the mollusca. Then we have the twisting part. Torsion is clear to everybody. And then the body can be divided into three parts here. You have head, foot, and the visceral mass. Visceral mass is a muscular fold and you call that as mantle. Mantle क्या बनाता है? एक hard calcareous shell बनाता है जो कि कई बारी बाहर प्रेजेंट पाए जाते हैं. कुछ ऑर्गेनिज्म में बाहर मिलते हैं और कुछ ऑर्गेनिज्म में बॉडी के अंदर. लेट्स सी दिस डायग्राम, सी नॉट डायग्राम, दिस पिक्चर. यहाँ पे देखो मैंटल ने जो शेल बनाया वो बॉडी के बाहर है, लेकिन दिस ऑर्गेनिज्म हैज़ गॉट द शेल इनसाइड द बॉडी. So shell are of two type, external skeleton, exoskeleton, and internal one. So when the mantle is producing or secreting the calcareous shell, sometimes it is external, sometimes it is internal, or sometimes it is absent. They will say that it's absent, but it is there in a smaller size. And they have, for locomotion, they have foot which is used for locomotion. So when you talk about the digestive system, you have seen the mouth and anus present, so it's well developed. The digestive system is well developed. Why we say it's well developed? Because it has got a proper mouth and the anus. And what about the buccal cavity? Buccal cavity has a rasping organ called as radula, which has got sets of teeth on it for digesting their food. I showed you that video about radula, right? So which is provided with teeth, sets of teeth on them, and they have gills which are responsible for absorbing the required oxygen in their body from the water. Some of them they live terrestrially. Terrestrially जब रहते हैं तो उनकी बॉडी में लंग्स भी होते हैं. So according to their lifestyle, अगर वो पानी में ही हैं, so they will be having gills. If they are outside, they will be having lungs for their respiration. Then circulatory system. What kind of circulatory system? Here I'm going to explain you once again. Yesterday was open system. We have two types of circulatory system. One is open circulatory system and one is closed circulatory system. Closed सबको समझ में आया था, लेकिन open में एक और बारी समझाऊंगी with that short picture I'll show you. But let's continue with this part. When you talk about the blood, okay, there is an exception here. यहाँ पे ये exception को underline कर लेना आप, अपने notes में ज़रूर लिखना. Circulatory system open है, लेकिन जो CPI है उसका circulatory system closed है, right? So we have I'll just draw it over here. If I'm saying this is the structure of an insect, इसकी body में there is the heart and the vessel. जब I'm explaining you open circulatory system, okay, the blood is present here we say from the upper part blood flows in this cavity region. Okay, because the blood flows in this empty space, you call this as open circulatory system. And now how will this blood flow back? There are small holes here, ostias बोलते हैं जिसे. तो यहाँ से blood after the utilization they go back into this surface or into that vessel, and again it is rotated from cavity. This is the cavity region. Cavity से वापस blood vessel के अंदर, blood vessel से फिर cavity. So this is not having proper tube like structure. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता कि एक closed tube है जिसके अंदर से blood flow करता है. Right? We know the blood is not flowing in a closed tube. यहाँ पे empty space में blood आता है, इसीलिए हम लोग इसे बोलते हैं open circulatory system. Circulatory system is open. One exception is there, that's the sepia that has got closed system. Okay, what is the quality of this blood we have here in this phyla? They are pigmented copper, or we can say they are blue colored. Why? Because of the presence of pigment called hemocyanin. When we say our blood is red color, because we have got hemoglobin, right? So this pigment makes the color bluish because their respiratory pigment is hemocyanin. So when you talk about the excretion, they have kidney and are called as organ of Bojanus. Again, this kind of question comes. Organ of Bojanus is found in which phyla? So they can give you an MCQ, or maybe they can give you match the following. So you'll be able to remember organ of Bojanus comes with the phyla Mollusca. And the nervous system, I showed it in the diagram. You could see ganglias, different ganglias were there. You just write for this, your answer will be, if a question comes, write about the nervous system of Mollusca. So you can say 3 pairs of ganglia there, that's it. You get marks for that. 3 pairs of ganglia you write, and you score marks. What kind of sense organs do they have? They have eyes, tentacle, ophradia. I'll just mark it once again. So what are the different sense organs present in Mollusca? One is eyes. What is the benefit of eyes? It is used for vision. तो eyes के आगे आप लिख सकते हो as a function of eyes, vision, for visualizing, देखने के लिए. Okay. Tentacles, it is for checking the tactile sensation. कितने sediments हैं, how the water is good enough or not, the sensation, how much impurity is present, that all can be tested by this tentacles. Then ostradia is for testing the purity of water, the water content, how saline and how exactly if there is any chemical or not, those things are all being measured by the ostradia. So 3 sense organs are visualized in Mollusca. One is eyes, tentacle and ostradia. As far as the sexes are concerned, they are separate organism and they are oviparous in nature, and development happens direct as well as indirect. So you've learned in butterfly how indirect happens from one stage to another stage. So that was indirect. Direct means from the birth only is in the same shape of the adult. Adult के जैसा ही होता है, जैसे एक young one पैदा होता है. So that's called direct. Now we have a question here. What are the economic importance of the Mollusca? So we get pearls out of this phyla. We can make even अगर नेचुरली देखा जाए तो बहुत साल लग जाते हैं पर्ल बनाने के, तो आर्टिफिशियली ऑल्सो वी डू रेयर पर्ल ऑयस्टर्स फॉर पर्ल्स, एंड इवन मॉलस्काज आर एडिबल, उनको खाया भी जाता है. और जो शेल्स होते हैं मॉलस्का के, उनको यूज़ करते हैं. कैल्शियम की दवाइयाँ जो बनती है ना, अभी रिसेंटली देयर वाज वन मेडिसिन शेल कैल, शेल कैल को ऑयस्टर शेल से बनाया जाता है. There's so many other also, but this is something which we generally use, so that reminds me of that. Okay, so I'm going to put you with another video.
Treat makes a pretty pearl. Oysters are small bivalve animals. They have two rough shells hinged together with a bit of ligament. Their shells are hard and 95% calcium carbonate, but shells are a little more complicated than that. They're actually like in 4 different layers, and they grow by depositing more shell at their edges over time, so they totally have rings like a tree. Inside their shells, they have a layer called the mantle. No, not that thing over your fireplace. It's their skin surrounding all the squishy, fleshy bits that you eat. I mean, sorry, vegans. Basically, pearls form like this. A happy little oyster is swimming along one day and a bit of food floats in.
Here you can see जैसे एक छोटा सा पार्टिकल ऑयस्टर के मुंह के अंदर गया. यू सॉ दिस नो, एक छोटा सा पार्टिकल ऑयस्टर के मुंह के अंदर स्लिप हो जाता है. बाय चांस इट स्लिप्स इन. सो ऑयस्टर एज अ रिस्पॉन्स ऑफ प्रोटेक्शन, कि उसको लगता है कि ये कोई एनिमी भी हो सकता है उसको डिस्ट्रॉय करने के लिए, एज अ रिस्पॉन्स इसकी जो इंटरनल लेयर्स होती हैं ऑयस्टर के अंदर की, वो इस पार्टिकल के ऊपर प्रोटेक्टिव लेयर बनाती जाती है, जो कि हमें बाद में पर्ल के फॉर्म में मिलता है. सो वी हैव कॉल्ड एज नैक्रे. दैट्स द मदर ऑफ पर्ल. नैक्रे इज़ द लेयर. इट्स काइंड ऑफ कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट जो कि वो बनाता है ऑयस्टर.
A shell. Now, oysters, well, there's not a lot to them, so they don't have that many defense mechanisms. So if something gets in between the shell and the mantle, they kind of just cover up the stuff with a coating of themselves. Really, they cover the food or sand in a substance called nacre, or mother of pearl, which is basically made up of aragonite and coquelin, the same pretty iridescent stuff they build their inner shells out of. And it's the same process for farmed pearls too, except a farmer has to manually place a grain of sand or whatever into the shell, and then they wait like at least 6 months.
ओके, फार्मर्स भी ये करते हैं. जब पर्ल फार्मिंग होता है वहाँ पे ऑयस्टर्स को वो लोग अपने फार्म लैंड में जब ग्रो करते हैं, दे इंड्यूस छोटा सा सैंड पार्टिकल उनके माउथ के अंदर. दे ओपन द ऑयस्टर्स माउथ एंड दे इंड्यूस अ स्मॉल सैंड पार्टिकल, वो 1 या 2 वट एवर. सो उससे क्या होता है, ऑयस्टर को क्या लगता है कि इट इज़ समथिंग काइंड ऑफ सम एनिमी और मे बी सम इंट्रूडर हैज़ गॉट इनसाइड द बॉडी. तो ऑयस्टर क्या करेगा, एज अ डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म it will start producing calcium carbonate, and that surrounds that small soil or we can say sand particle. कुछ भी हो सकता है, कुछ भी डाल दो तो उसके साइज़ के हिसाब से रैप होता जाएगा एंड कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट उसके ऊपर रैप हो जाए. दैट्स व्हाट दे हैव यूज्ड द वर्ड नैक्रे, दिस शाइनी सब्सटेंस. सो पर्ल्स आर वेरी शाइनी. नेचुरल पर्ल्स जो होते हैं वो बहुत ही शाइनी होते हैं. दे आर वेरी कॉस्टली ऑल्सो. दैट्स व्हाट दे आर ट्राइंग टू शो.
It's gonna be up there on the weird jobs list. So pearls are just oyster bits wrapped in food bits. Pretty gross, right? So oysters aren't that complicated, but
where earrings and necklaces are the result of an irritant under the shell of a living organism. Pearls are formed by saltwater or freshwater mollusks, a diverse group of animals that includes oysters, mussels, clams, and gastropods. Pearls are formed when an irritant such as a bit of food, grain of sand, bacteria, or even a piece of the mollusk mantle becomes trapped in the mollusk. To protect itself, the mollusk secretes the substance aragonite, which is a mineral, and conchiolin, a protein, which are the same substances it secretes to form its shell. The composite of these two substances is called mother of pearl. The layers are deposited around the irritant and it grows over time, forming the pearl. Depending on how the aragonite is arranged, the pearl may have a higher luster or more porcelain-like surface that doesn't have that luster. In the case of the low-luster pearls, the sheet of aragonite crystals are perpendicular, or at an angle to the surface of the pearl. For the iridescent pearls, the crystal layers are overlapping. Pearls may be a variety of colours, including white, pink and black. You can tell an imitation pearl from a real pearl by rubbing them on your teeth. Real pearls feel gritty against the teeth due to the layers of mother of pearl, while imitation ones are smooth. Pearls are not always round. Freshwater pearls are often shaped more like puffed rice. Unusual shapes can also be prized for jewellery, especially for larger pearls. Any mollusk can form a pearl, although they are more common in some animals than others. There are animals known as pearl oysters. The species called the gold-lip pearl oyster or silver-lip pearl oysters live in the Indian Ocean and the Pacific from Japan to Australia and produce pearls known as South Sea pearls. Some pearls are cultured. These pearls do not form by chance in the wild. They are held by humans who insert a piece of shell, glass or mantle into a mollusk and wait for the pearls to form. This process involves many steps for the oyster farmer. The farmer must raise the oysters for about 3 years before they mature enough to implant. They implant them with the graft and nucleus, and harvest the pearls 18 months to 3 years later.
That's it for today. I hope mollusk is clear to everyone.